It's episode 320 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. I am your host, Brian Barnett, and Cube!
Cube. Oh, I get it. Cube, right.
Cube.
I am the EVO list, Chris Cornelly.
I am a Chipotle card holding Will Borger.
Hell yeah. I was there. I saw it. And I watched him lose it and then could eat again.
I was so sad we don't have a recording of that set against that Johnny. He was so good.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. So, we have a lot to talk about. But I will say, first things first, because of Hurricane Beryl, my roof is currently being replaced. So if you hear noise, that's what's happening. So it's pretty wild.
If you hear noise and I'm too lazy to fix it in post, that's what's happening.
Yeah, it is currently 7:05 p.m. Central Time, and these motherfuckers showed up at like 6:20 and started, and they've been doing it all day, and it is loud as hell. So,
well, I mean, you kind of need a roof, especially for when the next hurricane comes along.
We do need a roof. But anyways, all that to say, we're back from EVO. I got to see Will again. Always a pleasure. And look at this beautiful green badge for the collection. So today I am wearing this, and then it's going to go up here on my wall with all the others from PAX. And I think, where's the other one? Oh yeah, my VIP Capcom Cup badge over there on the side of the Spider-Man picture. So this EVO one is gonna go up there. My media badge
on the wall of fame.
Mine is locked away for the moment, but
I've also got this one.
Yes,
Will knows about this one. Yeah. There it is. The Chipotle card. The Chipotle card for getting. So he has not said specifically what that means. So I will toot his horn for him. But you get a Chipotle card if you make it out of pools at EVO, and if you win, if you go to EVO and you register and compete and you win a game, you're nice. If you win a set, you're like really good. If you get it out of pools, you're like great. And then if you get up on the stage, you're like incredible.
Yeah, if you make it to whatever it is, like top 300 something, you are one of the best players in the world at your game.
Yeah.
At EVO. It is hard. And it gets more impressive from there. And EVO was great, man. Like I'm gonna say it again for everybody who has never gone, and if you're thinking about, man, I want to go to EVO one year, just pull the trigger. Just do it. Just pull the trigger and go. Sign up, compete. You don't have to do well. Just play the game that you like.
Yeah.
Wander around the floor, have a good time. Watch the finals live. There's nothing like it. Get yourself a cool souvenir. I got a new fight stick.
I got a souvenir. Actually, a couple of souvenirs that I will now show here. So everybody knows I got this Razor Kitsune from the Razor rep because of Capcom Cup, and it's got Chun-Li on it. Well, I don't really care about Chun-Li, which might be controversial. So I went to Artist Alley at EVO, and I got a couple of stickers, and I popped those on there. And so now my leverless has Samus and Biken on it. Two characters that I played. One character which unlocked, which was my first character that I ever played in Smash Brothers, and the main character in my favorite game of all time. And the other one, the character that unlocked Guilty Gear and made Guilty Gear one of my favorite fighting games. So, yeah. Real good. But lots of fun. And I also second what Will has said. My coverage got approved so late that it was actually too late for me to register to compete in any of those games, which did bum me out. But I did play some casuals. Not as much as I would have liked because I was working and attending and hanging out with friends the whole time. But yeah, I would highly recommend. The people that I met at EVO are some of the friendliest that I've ever seen at a trade show. Like it is wild that the fighting game community is literally like the premise of fighting games is you and I fight and we see who's better. Like it's such a combative, like in your face genre. And yet everybody I met at EVO was like the nicest person.
The FGC is on a different level compared to like just about any other video game community of any kind.
Yeah. There were tons of people of color. There were tons of trans people. There were tons of gay people. Like, it was awesome. And everybody was welcome. Everybody was having a fantastic time. I mean, everybody was having a fantastic time as long as they didn't go outside. I'll put it that way. My Lord, it was hot.
Yep.
That's Nevada.
You know, what I will tell everybody is that the second what Brian said, like, the fighting game community is so nice. I'm sure, you know, there's bad actors, but like,
sure.
I met people like during watching TJ's pools, and we just talked, and that was the other cool part, was just getting the whole Golden Weekly's crew together. Like, the entire crew was there at EVO. So if you don't know what Golden Weeklies is, you know, I run a fighting games tournament for Games Press and friends called Golden Weeklies, and we've run like 18 weeklies, and we're gonna run one on Saturday. And so everybody who plays regularly went to EVO this year, and we got to hang out and cheer each other on, and watch a couple of us win Chipotle cards, and it was awesome. And I think, you know, if you've never been to EVO, it's really hard to describe the atmosphere of being there, especially on Finals Day.
Yeah.
And
Finals Day is wild.
Yeah, like, you can have fun, like, absolutely you can have fun sitting home on Twitch, right? But if you were like, man, I really want to go, I'm telling you, just pull the trigger and go. You will have a good time. You know, I went for the first time last year. I'm going to go back until I can't physically go back. It is a great experience. It was super fun to play people in person again. It was great to make it out of my pool. I beat the #1 seeded guy in my pool in Strive. I did pretty good in Third Strike. I think I was top 257 in both 257th in both Strive and Third Strike, and then Tekken I was like 3,000s out of 4,000. I only won one game, but I didn't practice. But the point was, I had a great time. I got to see all the boys, and I got a little work, which a preview of 2XKO, Riot's new tag team fighter, which is coming out on IGN soon, so keep an eye peeled for that. But EVO is something else. Yeah. I tried to fight an Uber driver. You know.
Yeah, we almost had to send somebody to the hospital.
Listen, you know, I'll deal with a lot of stuff, but the instant you call me a slur, you and I have a problem.
Yeah.
But
he didn't know you were rolling deep with 3 friends that are not fucking around. But yeah, you know.
So anyway, my point is, I'll say it again because people need to hear it again. If you want to go to EVO, go to EVO.
Yeah.
Go to EVO, register, play. You know, when they announce the dates, I will be registered that day, and I will be booking at a hotel room to see if I can go, and then with, you know, friends be like, maybe we can do a suite this year. But one of my fondest memories, before we move on to anything else besides from EVO, is playing Guilty Gear on Brian's Steam Deck in the finals arena.
I saw the pictures of that, and that was immaculate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did. So I took my Steam Deck, and I've got my little port, thanks to Blessing, who recommended a specific USB dongle that I got. And so then I took my leverless, I took my Steam Deck, I took this little port, and I had it in my backpack. So everywhere I went, I had a little Steam Deck setup for Street Fighter 6 and Guilty Gear Strive and Tekken 8. And so in the finals arena, I played sets of Strive with Will. I played sets with Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kind of Funny. I met somebody while I was charging my stuff next to the bathroom. I met this woman, and we played a really long set there while she was charging her phone and I was charging my Steam Deck. It was awesome. Like, it was just awesome. You know, yeah, that was a really fun moment. So, like, yeah, we played games, you know.
Have Steam Deck, we'll fight game.
Yes. Like, there were setups everywhere, but I also had my own that I could just set down at the thing. And there's a great picture of Brogan, like, holding the Steam Deck while we were both sitting on either side of him playing. It was awesome.
That's the one I saw. That was freaking hilarious.
Yeah. When I was playing with Blessing, there was a guy in front of us that kept turning around and, like, taking pictures of what I was doing. And I should have told him to, like, send those to me or, like, tag me on, like, social media or something, but I didn't do that. I should have, because it was like everybody who saw what I was doing, like, was getting a kick out of it. But yeah, it was great.
Love it. Yeah, Evo's on the bucket list for me. It's a bit harder for me to just, pull the trigger for obvious reasons, but yeah, I'm working on it. Hopefully, maybe one day.
They announced that there's going to be an EVO International. I hope that one day it will rotate its way to Australia, and you will be able to go.
Mm-hmm. I doubt it will, just because there's not enough of us here for it. Like, it's just not. Like, you can go to anywhere else, and like, I'm still shocked they run a PAX here like every year, because you can run it anywhere else in the world and probably get more value because more people are likely to attend just by sheer population density. So
yeah. I think if they really wanted to do a central one, I mean, Japan is not bad a flight from Australia, but like Singapore would be pretty good. Like,
Singapore would probably be ideal. Like, it's shorter flight and generally cheaper. So
it's only a couple of hours from flight from Japan. It's only a couple hours from Australia. It's also a couple of hours from like the UAE. So you could also get the people from the Middle East in there, which would be good. So
yeah, but
it's pretty good middle ground. But yeah, that's if they do
it'll happen, and it should happen. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about, but I love fighting games, man. Fucking play fighting games, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, it is the best genre.
Cube. Also, I didn't realize I have a cube on my desk. Hell yeah. This is like one of the promotional things they sent. They sent me a Rubik's Cube for Eurokill, which is the like hybrid like murder / escape room sim and like vertical scrolling shoot 'em up, like bullet hell game. It's a really wild combination.
Yeah, I
reviewed
this combination
back in the day on this show. So like, check out your Eurokill, YURUKILL. It's fun. Anyways, so fighting games are great. That's great. We got a lot to talk about. I will say it is just as a shout out. It is my wife's birthday today. So happy birthday to the founder of Audrey's Book Corner and the platinum tier platformers subscriber of all time. The one without whom this show would not exist, because she told me so long ago, I really need you to stop talking to me about all this stuff. Why don't you just start a podcast? And I did. And the rest is history.
320 episodes later.
320 episodes later. So we got a lot to talk about. I did finish yesterday, since we were talking about Audrey's Book Corner. I finished the 6th book in the Dune series, Chapterhouse Dune. So I've officially now read every one of the Frank Herbert Dune novels, and I gotta say, they're all good. Like, they're all real good. So
I need you to validate what I've heard.
Okay.
That's excuse me. So the people who have stuck with the series always say, like, 1 is amazing. Yes. 2 is pretty good. 3, 4, and 5 are and then 6 pulls it all together and makes it worthwhile and becomes good again. Is that you like all of them? So you're already the outlier there. But how true
to
is
varying
it?
degrees. Like, they're not all created equal. Yeah. I might be an outlier because I think that 2 and 3 make 1 better. Like, I think the first 3 are like real good. Like, I think the first 3 are the best. I think that God Emperor of Dune is like the interesting thing about that, and the thing that I love about Dune, is that it is equal parts fantasy and philosophy, and the fantasy and world building is the best in 1.
Very much so.
But it's not finished. Like, it is really crazy, but like 2 through 6, like there is a main like element of the universe that is like the driving force of the 2nd through the 6th books, and it's just never talked about in the first book. And so weirdly, going back and like watching the movies or reading the first book, it feels like really incomplete because they don't talk about the Tleilaxu. They don't talk about Golas at all. And that is like the thing that drives everything that's after the first book. as well as like, I guess minor spoilers like Paul's kids, who also play a massive fucking role in the story. But yeah, it's really good. I think that the last one has some really, or the last two kind of work as a pair, which is like Heretics of Dune and Chapterhouse Dune. And I feel like that is like interesting, but it doesn't interest me on the same level that the first four do, because they get into like different types of philosophy, and it feels to me like there's not as much meat on it. I'm also not like, I just finished it like yesterday. I'm not sure how I feel about the ending of the sixth book. Like, I'm kind of like, I don't know that it really like did it for me.
Didn't quite land it.
I'll come back to, I don't know that it didn't land it. I'm just not sure. My feelings haven't like totally settled out on
That's
that.
fair.
But I would definitely say like a lot of people, I heard from a lot of people that like the second and third books are like wackadoo and really crazy. And I mean, there's definitely like super weird stuff in them, but I don't think it's any weirder than any of the stuff that happens in the first book. And I think that the way that the second and specifically third books get into specific threads of philosophy like really speaks to me. So that was kind of like the sweet spot. And then the fact that that was a big pivot point for the rest of the series, at least through the sixth book, was, I don't know, really satisfying to me. So I definitely think that like they're all worth a read. And it does kind of bum me out that like Denis Villeneuve was talking about like Messiah being like the last movie that he made in the series, and that it's likely that he makes it, but you know, not super guaranteed, but that he probably wouldn't do Children of Dune, which like Children of Dune and God Emperor of Dune are so fucking interesting, and they would make such great movies. Like, they would be hard to make as movies. I'm not gonna lie, they would be really hard to do justice to, but they would be so good. Like, Children of Dune would be so crazy. Like, I think that the third book,
Just get David Lynch back. Do that again.
yeah,
That worked so well the first time.
Oh,
I say that unironically. I like the 80s movie. It's wild.
That's the only one that I have not seen. I'm going to watch that soon. But actually, I misspoke earlier. When I was talking about the second and third books earlier, I meant Children of Dune and God Emperor of Dune, which are actually the third and fourth books. So take what I said about the second and third books and just
shunt it over one.
That over one to the third and fourth. Because Dune Messiah is the second book, and that's great, but it really like picks up with Children of Dune. I mean, it's kind of like Dune Messiah like sets the stage for Children of Dune, and then God Emperor of Dune is like,
it literally introduces the children.
Yeah, it introduces the children who play a part in God Emperor of Dune, like a big part, and then that's like a whole. God Emperor of Dune sets like the rest of it on its way. But anyways, that's all I want to talk about. Dune is great. Check out the audiobooks or the regular books or digital books from your local library. It's awesome. It's free. Do it.
Yeah. I owe that series a full read, and even just the first one, just a reread, because, one of my favorite books ever, and I haven't read it again in a while, but I would read it like annually when I was younger.
It is really crazy, like going all the way through Dune, like the sixth book, looking at this and being like, shit, like how much of fantasy and science fiction came from this.
Oh, like, so much of it.
It's nuts. Like, I didn't realize so much of Star Wars, so much of like even other stuff, like even there's a lot of stuff from, oh my God, it's not the Seventh Day. Total Recall. Like, there's stuff from Dune that's in Total Recall. There's like a lot of weird stuff that exists that is because of Frank Herbert. It's crazy.
I feel like it might be almost like a progenitor for the idea of science fantasy in its own way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of sci-fi tends to be, lean more on the hard sci-fi. like what, would later be the Expanse and everything like that. And that's not, exclusively true, but I feel like Dune definitely kind of leaned into the aspects of like the mysticism and philosophy and such, which kind of led to the more fantastical elements creeping in.
Yeah.
Even though it still has like really solid sci-fi world building, which is its strength in the first book, especially. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the later the series goes on, the more it is focused on sci-fi type stuff other than fantasy. But I do feel like, like you said, I feel like it is the focus on religion and philosophy that brings it kind of closer to that fantasy realm. Like, it's not purely in one camp necessarily because of the things that it deals with, but because it's so focused on religion and philosophy and sociology and like all like genetic drift and like the way that societies change over millennia, like it's really interesting, and there is so much gold in there. Like, there's so many times where, like, at the beginning of each chapter, they will have, like, an excerpt from a fake book in that universe. And it'll be, like, just a little, like, snippet of wisdom. And so much of that is, like, man, that's, like, really good. Like, this is just, like, 1 or 2 sentences of just, like, pure gold that, like, makes you think.
Written by the princess.
Yeah, written by the Princess Irulan. Yeah. Or whatever. And then later on, it's, like, by a bunch of different people. But yeah, it's great. It's great. Dune has like absolutely skyrocketed up my list as like one of my favorite book series of all time. And yeah, I highly recommend it. So that's Audrey's book corner.
Now we just need another RTS in that series, one that's better than Spice Wars, because didn't really care for that one.
Is that did the latest, the game that was announced that was going to come out, those are all out? Because I know there was like at least one. There was like one in an MMO, right?
I think there's an MMO as well. There's probably at least one more, but
that like Arrakis like RTS game that is out.
Yeah, it's at least in early access. That's done by the people who do Northgard, which I quite like, but I didn't care for this one as much. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't quite do it for me.
Okay,
but
that's a shame. Because I was actually thinking about that. I was like,
it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just, for whatever reason, like, Northgard clicks with me better. The old Dune games, like Dune 2000 and Emperor Battle for Dune, they click with me more. This one just didn't do it for me. So,
Shame.
Cool.
Well, what do we want to talk about next? Who wants to take it? I've been talking for a while.
Chris, you got anything?
Nothing that doesn't really require a spoiler cast and people who aren't here to discuss, because I suppose I'll just say that I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV again, which I don't think you were around to hear, Will, but
I was not, but I'm really interested to hear what, how you found it.
So I am historically on the record for saying, it was really, really good, like fantastic even, and then Endwalker happened, and Endwalker was shit. It's just garbage. It's terrible. It's bad. Mechanically fine, but story is just dog shit. They drop the ball so hard, and it's caused a massive, schism and upset and such within the actual community of it as well, because most people kind of doggedly defend it but that's a long story. The point being that Endwalker sucked, and I'm correct in saying so. So I didn't ever think I would go back, right? Like, I was just like, this is... anything that follows has to be not only good enough to bring me back, but has to be even better, because I would then have to go through all the Endwalker patch content to catch up and suffer through all that horse shit. So when I say that I actually did that and got to the end of Dawntrail and really liked it, it's pretty good. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I finished the latest expansion after basically swearing off the game because... yeah, a couple of friends are like, yeah, we're going to go do this together. You want to go suffer together? I'm like, yes, I do. So we suffered together, but it wasn't really suffering. It was actually a very solid expansion. Just probably a top 3 of 5, I think. But yeah, Dawntrail, very good. I will look to be doing a proper spoiler cast, story discussion, deep dive, whatever, with at least Lucas, probably Timo as well, because we constantly take the mutual Discord and just, endlessly leave, it's like it's late, the Americans are asleep, talk about FF14, and just hundreds and hundreds of messages for you guys to wake up to. So yeah, good chance I'll be doing that soon. But that's mostly what I've been doing. Just a lot of Final Fantasy.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. So I have a couple of small indie games that I can talk about, and I'm not sure what Will wants to get into. But before we do that, I wanted to say, since we were talking about my wife earlier, a big thank you to her for surprising me, because the LA Dodgers came to Houston to play a set against the Astros, and she surprised me. I was baited and switched. I was told I was going to a family lunch because my in-laws are in town, and it was actually time for us to take Riley to her first baseball game, and it was the
neat.
Astros versus the Dodgers, and it was Audrey's entire family and her wearing Astros stuff, and then Riley and me wearing Dodgers gear, and Dodgy Boys win. Woohoo! So that was pretty good.
And that explains all the bruises.
Yes. I'm just absolutely beaten up, destroyed. If you're not watching the podcast, I have a bloody eye. I'm bleeding out of my nose. It's terrible. Terrible.
If you can't see it, it's because, really good green screen.
Yeah. This is all Kris edited all of that, all of my domestic abuse evidence out in post.
Yeah, I'm so good I can do video editing after having never done video editing on the fly, just like that.
Yeah, and Audrey also has leverage on him, which is why he's doing this.
Yeah.
And she's also got leverage on me, which is why I'm telling you this, but not actually like reporting it or anything. Anyways.
I don't do what she says, she'll hurt my dog, and we can't have that.
We can't have that. Doggos are too good. Too pure for this world. Anyways, Will, what have you been up to?
Well,
besides not sleeping.
Probably about to find out. I have been. Today was actually really good because I got to work on the 2XKO preview, and as you know, so if you haven't, I guess I'll talk about that. If you have not heard of 2XKO, it is formerly Project L, Riot's fighting game that is League of Legends based, and they had a booth for it at EVO, and we got to go play it for about an hour and a half, and shaping up to be real good. Shaping up to be very good. It's a tag fighter, but unlike Marvel 2 and 3 or Dragon Ball FighterZ, it is a 2-on-2 game. So, harkening back to the classics, MVC 1, games of that era, X-Men versus Street Fighter, one of them.
Yes.
Is a 2v2 game. There's so many in that series that it's hard to keep track.
Yes, I know because I played them lately, which we will get into later.
Yeah. I also have things to say about that. But I think that game is going to blow up in a way that is going to be really interesting to see what it does for the rest of the genre, because it's gorgeous, it's really easy to understand, it's fun, it has systems from a bunch of other games that you might be like, oh, this is like Burst. They're like, this is like this system from MVC. And the characters are just like so unique. So I got to play the 6 characters that they had at EVO, and I think my favorite was probably Alawi, who summons these like Kraken tentacles on the stage, and she can use them to set up pressure strings and extend her combos. But they'd also reworked Ari since I'd played her last, and they changed her to give her like this kind of Rekka. She used to have these little orbs that she could use to extend combos, and you'd spend them all at once, and that was like, crap, now I have to like get more orbs. Which means it's kind of like reloading, right? It's like, all right, now I have to stop what I'm doing and get more orbs. And so they changed the way that she works, and to make it kind of a Rekka and work a little bit differently, and it feels great. And it's awesome that they're listening to community feedback while the game is in development, right? Like, come play 2XKO, tell us what you think. And also got to see Braum and his big-ass shield and his poros that he throws at people.
Braum's real good.
Yeah,
he's the best character in League of Legends, IMO.
Big boy, built like a house, but also like a good boy and like very fun to play around with. Very defensive.
He is the nicest dude.
Yeah, so it's great to see all these characters. Like, even if you don't have any, I don't have a lot of nostalgia for League of Legends. I view that as a dark period of my life where my friends hated each other. But
that's a good way of putting it. No matter your experience with League of Legends, yeah.
Yeah. But I do think what they're doing with 2XKO is really good, and they've captured like the feeling of these characters, and they're very clearly very interested in what the community thinks, and they're taking feedback, and the game is just a blast. And I think it's gonna do really well. I hope that it does. I hope that it continues on this track. But playing it with Mitch and Ronnie and Apology Man, who is a pro Guilty Gear player, also a former pro Dragon Ball Fighters player, joined us for a little bit. Shoutouts to Apology Man for helping us out with that. That was awesome. It was just a great experience, and they basically had to kick us off the machine.
Yeah.
So.
And Mitch definitely went back with Blessing, and I was there with Tyler watching them play.
Yeah, it is a great little game based on what we've played so far. Obviously, we'll see how it shakes out in the final stretch, but I think they're onto something. And if you have not signed up for the Alpha Lab test for that, and you like fighting games, you definitely should. So 2XKO is something to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, it's real good. I played it as well. Yeah, I definitely agree. I am leaning towards playing probably Echo and Ari myself, just because those are like two kind of neutral and mixy up characters, and Ari is like the resident wizard, I guess. So we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
But it's real fun. It is real fun to play with other people, and there's some absolutely degenerate nonsense that you can do in that game, which is absolutely my brand of wildness. So
yeah,
it's really going to be interesting to see that game unfold, even if you don't get into it specifically, because like it's leveraging from League of Legends, which waxed and waned in popularity over the years, certainly, but it's got that residual kind of well, obviously player base, but just the characters and world and idea of that is now very lodged in gaming consciousness, given that it's been running for 15 years at this point. So it'll be really interesting to see that. Like, obviously Riot has started to spread out to other genres and games. So you had the Nunu game, you had the Ruined King, you had their card game Legends of Runeterra, which is actually really good. I prefer it over Hearthstone. So they've been branching out and are continuing to just build their setting and characters and such. And it's really interesting just to see where the whole thing is going to land, if they manage to pull a multimedia franchise out of it, if they go the way of Grand Blue. I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I am very curious. I think my prediction is that game comes out before next year's EVO. We'll see if that's true. But
I wonder. Yeah, I think if it manages to go free to play and stick the free to play landing, that'll be a big thing as well.
Yeah,
because that can serve as a really good entry for people who are used to playing free to play for League of Legends fans, but it means they might actually be willing to try it out and branch out and potentially get it from there. It's a bit different if you have to pay up front, but again, we'll see. Definitely interested to see how 2XKO shapes out, though I still think Project L was a better name.
Yeah, it was.
But that's my it's my thoughts on 2XKO, and you can read my full thoughts when they come out on IGN soon. But I think that is a neat little game. I'm very happy to have gotten to play it. I got to play it last year. I think they've made great changes to it, and man, fighting games
are real good.
I need to get back into it. MMOs, they take up too much time.
They do.
You should stop and play fighting games instead.
Yeah, but there's a WoW expansion in a month.
That's fair.
I am genuinely working on a proper big write-up for Dragonflight. Just as complete tangent aside thing, it's in this space as writing and creating as we do, there's very little space for actually going back and reflecting on a game over its full life cycle. The reviews have to come out when it releases, and they'll paint a picture of what's there, but they can't paint the full picture. So I want to go back now. It's Dragonflight is done. The pre-patch is out for The War Within now, or it's starting to roll out and such. It's now everything is there. We can look at the expansion in totality and actually go back and give it proper critique and feedback, especially with the benefit of, 2 years of reflection and time. So I want to do that. That's something I'm working on at the moment. It's something I want to write up, And if you're interested in having that on your website, I am open to pitch it. But other than that, yeah, that's something I just want to do at the moment, because I think it'd be an interesting opportunity to actually do that and, reflect with time at a full scope of a live service game, because we just don't do that enough in this industry. Everything must be now immediate as it comes out, and then on we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also, speaking of things that are ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
I have been playing and reviewed for Shack News Earth Defense Force 6.
Hey, EDF, EDF,
And
EDF.
I love EDF. What a video game. Like, at some point, video games, like, tried to be very serious things, and, like, there's space for serious video games, right? Like, obviously, like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I don't like Spec Ops. No, I love Spec Ops. Like, I've written about Spec Ops extensively. I love that game. But at some point, we kind of lost, like, what if it was just goofy as hell, right?
What if we just had fun with this shit?
What if it was just the most outrageous shit you've ever seen? And that's what EDF is. And that's what EDF6 is. And I love EDF6 because I did not, like, when I go to review a game, I try to learn as little about it as I can, unless I previewed it before, right? And in which case I'm like, I put in the review, I don't look at it again. Maybe I watch some trailers. But I really don't read interviews. I don't do any, because I want to have my perspective be my perspective, right? I don't want it clouded by any other things. And so I went into EDF not really knowing, like, much beyond it's a sequel to EDF5. It came out in Japan a couple years ago. Cool. All right. And I'm really hesitant to, like, spoil the plot, the plot conceit. I guess it's kind of obvious because they talk about it in the marketing material. Do you guys care?
Go for it.
Whatever.
So EDF6 is a time loop game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It takes place at the end of EDF5 where you, like, defeat, like, the alien primers, like, God, King, Emperor thing, deity. But, like, Earth is completely wiped out. Like, 90% of the population is dead. And you spend the first few missions, like, as this, like, doomed resistance, basically. And then the primers come back and they reset the timeline. And then you're back in EDF5. And they've brought, like, new crazy toys to, like, kill you faster. But the problem is you and, like, a couple of your boys remember how this went the first time. So you're absurdly good at killing them. So it just keeps, like, going as this game of, like, temporal anything you can do, I can do better. And it gets increasingly, like, funny because everyone's like, who is this rookie? Why is he so good at murder? And it's just, and it's like, well, because I've done this before, right? But you can't, it is literally all you need is kill / Edge of Tomorrow as a video game. And it's awesome. I give it an 8. I'm still playing it. I'm having a blast with it. It is goofy as hell. It's EDF in every possible way. The voice acting sounds like they paid dudes $5 and just recruited him off the street. It looks like it runs on the PlayStation 2.
As is tradition.
And it's amazing. Shout outs to Sandlot for somehow, like, of all the things that have endured, like, EDF is one of the things that has survived in the AA space. So shout outs to them for just making, like, this incredibly goofy and fun game that you can play with your friends.
And it's always just dumb fun. Like, honestly, like, the comparisons are going to be inevitable to Helldivers 2, right?
Right.
Like, and Helldivers 2, honestly, the moment I started playing that, I'm just like, this is great. It feels like EDF, except, slightly more polished and budget. But yeah, there's something to be said about EDF. It's always a great time. I need to get back into it. I'm glad to hear it landed. How does it compare to Helldivers 2, now that I think about it?
It's obviously, like, it's obviously, like, less polished, right? But it has, like, a story in a way that Helldivers Helldivers is like a collection of missions, right? That have like maybe an
Yeah.
overarching narrative through mission objectives. But like EDF is like, this is a mission-based game. You know, you play mission 1, then mission 2, and they're all different. So it has that going for it. It also has, you know, the class diversity. EDF has 4 classes. Helldivers really doesn't have classes. It's just you equip stuff.
Yeah.
And it has like more of a narrative through line, and obviously it's way goofier. And there's just more stuff on the screen. You know, in EDF, like it's like there's like 1,000 ants on the screen right now, and they all want to kill me, right? In ways that Helldivers doesn't necessarily accomplish. And because of that, it gives you like more outrageous stuff. Like here's a mech. Here's, you know, this mortar cannon that you can attach to a fencer, which is basically a walking exosuit as a class, that like splits into like 20 different projectiles and just rains death on everything, right? And you need that because there's so much stuff. So it's different. Like I think it's funnier, and it's definitely got more of a crazy I don't know, mindset, conceit. Like it takes itself a little bit less seriously. It's not really satire the way that Helldivers is, so it's just kind of goofy.
That's fair. I think it's just a good comparison to make because, you know, given the success of Helldivers 2, that anyone looking at EDF nowadays is going to go, what does it offer that the other one doesn't? So, yeah.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Yeah. It's worth it's worth checking out. It is a full price game, which some people are going to balk at, but it is definitely worth checking out if you were an EDF fan or if you have a group of friends who are, you know.
Yeah, grab friends, go into a voice chat, embrace the insanity. That's the best way to play EDF. It's one thing to play it solo. It's another thing entirely to play with a bunch of with a group going, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Pretty
Good
wild.
stuff.
So I'm playing the trailer
game
in the corner right now for those who are watching the YouTube and Twitch stream.
Yeah, it's very silly. But I particularly love the time loop thing because it gets increasingly ridiculous and also helps the pacing a lot. Whereas like EDF can feel long sometimes because, you know, big games. But this is like, we're gonna do a bunch of missions. They're gonna reset the timeline. Something crazy is gonna happen. So it's like constantly refreshing itself in a way that's like really clever, and it also allows them to reuse assets from EDF5 in a really clever way. So it's like smart. It's a very smartly made game, even though it's also very dumb. You know,
the premise is dumb. The construction is not.
Yeah. It's a very stupid premise made very smartly.
Nice, cool stuff.
I respect it. And the theme song is catchy as hell.
Yeah, it is. And I love that you can have your guys like sing to each other like the little stupid fight songs. God, EDF rules.
It really does. Oh god, I'm gonna have to. I need to play it. I need to.
Nice. Along the lines of a game with really good music, I played Arranger, a role puzzling adventure.
Ah, yes, I have heard about this one.
So I've got the trailer playing for this one. This is awesome. This grabbed my attention the first time that I saw it, which I believe was on like a Nintendo event or something like that. But basically, think about the original Legend of Zelda and like the way you move around in like straight lines, cube by like square by square. And then imagine that every time you move, it shifts the path that you are moving on. Just like a Rubik's Cube, kind of. Mm-hmm. So it turns... The character that you are like someone who moves about the world in a different way than other people do. Normal people just walk around normally, but when you move, everything around you moves too. And so they use that to create weird and interesting scenarios. There's also a thing called the hold that is spreading out throughout this world, which makes things immovable, which means that there will be some times when you can't move. Like on the screen right now, like you can't move in certain ways because there's something that is immovable. So you will keep moving, but then you will just run into it and you can't get past it. But they have you think about things in ways that you wouldn't necessarily. So like you're walking down, down the screen, you need to go to the right, but there's something impassable blocking your way. So you walk left instead, and it loops you around past the obstacle onto the other side of the screen. So like you can do stuff like that to quickly move around. Also, there are boss fights and things spread throughout this game where you will, like on the screen, right now there is an octopus type of fight with like multiple eyes, and there are swords that are sitting around the area, and you will have to shift them around until they land on the eye. And sometimes you will have to shift multiple things at the same time, and you have to figure out how to do that. The puzzles are really cleverly made. I think I only got stuck like once or twice, and not for super long. It has really... it has a great balance. There are some times when the pacing is kind of, I don't know. This game is like 11 or like 12, 13 hours, which is long for a puzzle game, but I mean, it is called a role puzzling adventure because it is one character story about moving through the world and stuff like that. There are other characters. Everybody's super nice. Like it is fun. It is quirky. It is full of character. It's also kind of a coming of age story. And it's, a story about leaving home for the first time and discovering what's out in the world. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it. It's great. It's not that much. I think it's like, it is $20 full price, but it's currently on Steam on sale for like $17. And that for like a, 10 to 15 hour, smartly made, beautiful game with great music and just very satisfying sound design and beautiful art is like, I mean, come on. Like, what more?
Yeah, the art looked very striking when I saw it. Yeah. So,
and that stays true for the whole game. So like, there's a lot of like optional stuff that you can get into. Like if you want to leave the like standard path, there is a point of no return in the game, but actually you can still go back because if you load up your save after you beat the game, it'll be before the point of no return. So you can still go do like all the optional stuff afterwards if you want. But yeah, you get like new abilities and new things that you can do as the game goes on, and it's really good. It's really good. I highly recommend it.
A Ranger. I'll have to check that out for sure.
This is one
it was already on my wish list, I'm pretty sure. But yeah.
This is one of those, like we do it. Actually, it is about time for us to do a game of the year check-in. I know that Will and I were talking about that the other day. Just like kind of checking in with each other about like what is some of our favorite stuff that's come out this year so far. And this and the next game that I'm going to talk about this week are up there. Like they are in the discussion for the Game of the Year episode this year. So I highly recommend it. This is, it's more basic and there's not as much like, I guess meat on like the writing bone as there is for stuff like Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, but I would put it along those same kind of lines of like, this is a really great game and it's unusual and it's not like anything you've probably played before. So I like this gets like one of my highest recommendations.
Good stuff.
Actually, it's been forever since we've done this, but a Ranger, Catch the Fever. It gets the Catch the Fever award from me. So
there you go. The fever, it has been catched. I know that's not a real word. Don't judge me.
It has been catched. Because why not? Yeah, Will, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about before I talk about my last big game for this week?
Do I have anything else that I want to talk about? I talked about Dustborn last time, right?
You did.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a hot.
It has been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I've been college football. That's the one.
Okay. Here,
I reviewed college football 25 for IGN, and I gave it a 7. And I did like the whole time I was writing that review. I was at EVO midway, and like through it, and people were like adding me like, "When's the review coming out?" And I was like, I'm at EVO like when I come back, and it went live a few days ago. And
just for people to know, this is NCAA football 25.
Yeah, it's college football 25 because they don't have like the NCAA license anymore. It's complicated, but yes.
So what's the actual name so people will know how to find it?
College football 25.
Is it EA College Football 25?
It's like EA Sports College Football 25, but if you just like Google College Football 25, you'll find it.
Gotcha.
And I give it a 7 because it looks great. It plays really well. The presentation is really good, but the modes are very like there. And you don't really do much in a lot of them, and it kind of wears out its welcome because of that, even though the on-field stuff is really good. And I wrote this review, and the review was 4,500 words, and which is long.
Yeah,
that's a long. For those of you who do not work in the business, it's a very long review. And then we had to cut it down and do a 2,000-word script. That was fun. And
that's brutal when you have to like cut something down that severely.
Yeah, it's like, would you like to cut this in half plus? No, but I get that we have to. But it actually went over really well. This was one of those games that like I knew going into it. Like my thought was there's no way to win. Because it's been so long since we've had one of these. People are going to be so excited, and they're going to get mad if I'm not sufficiently excited, and then they're going to be mad if I give it too much praise. And so I'm sitting here like this. There's no way to win here. But the reception has actually been really good of the review, and I think it's a good game if you're really jonesing for college football, like if you really, really want that in your life.
Which a lot of people are.
Yeah. But what I would tell people is that there are no tutorials in this game outside of Ultimate Team, and the Ultimate Team tutorials are bad, and they're in Ultimate Team, and Ultimate Team sucks. It's EA slot machine.
Sucks ideologically. Yeah.
Yeah. I also wrote about that at Unwinnable. You should definitely go read about it. But not College Football 25 specifically, but monetization in video games.
What's the title? The World Outside the Glass was
almost gorgeous. Yeah.
Beautiful piece.
Thank you. You read it?
I haven't read it, but I've heard you read part of it, and I was just like, that was really good. So
yeah,
I keep forgetting. I need to go back and read the full thing.
Please do.
Not in love anymore.
Please do read the whole thing. But so there's no tutorials, and if you haven't played a Madden game in a while, or if you haven't played college football, like if you're not one of those dudes who modded NCAA 14 for 10 years, you're gonna have a bad time because the game doesn't really teach you how to play it. So there's that, and then there's the
By the way, that is also true. As somebody who the latest iteration of Madden was his first Madden game, they also kind of don't do that in Madden.
Yeah, but like the skills trainer is at least there. There's nothing like that in college football.
Wow, it's crazy.
And like I said, the modes are very bare bones, so it's not like you can like, unless you really like recruiting in Dynasty, and it's just like spreadsheets, you're going to be like, this is kind of boring. And that's kind of where I fell on it. Like, on field, great, but very new player unfriendly. And which, I play Madden, so I knew most of this stuff already. But, like, if you don't know cover 1 from cover 3, you're going to have a bad time. And if you don't know what those words mean, you're going to have a bad time.
They assume a level of, enthusiast knowledge going in, which, not ideal.
Yeah, right. Especially considering the last one of these games came out 10 years ago. So interesting choice, lack of, modes. And it's one of those things where I feel like we're always, like with sports games especially, and EA football games specifically, they'll get them next year, right? Like it's when your team like almost makes it, right? And we'll get them next year, right? But like if you've ever been the fan of a team that almost makes it, most of the time they don't get to go back. Like they come close and then somebody else goes, right? Like it's really hard to be consistently good in sports. And video games are kind of the same way because, like, cool, now they're developing the next one on a 2-year time frame, which means the stuff that is deeply flawed is probably not going to get touched for 5 years. And people are like, oh, well, they'll fix it later. And it's like, okay, well, how much older? Yeah, how much older do you want to be when they fix it?
Yeah, because if you make an engine, you're going to have to make either a new engine for this game after being away for so long, or you're going to have to take the engine from another game that's similar. And if you're doing either of those things, you're going to have problems that are unique to that. And you also want to get a better return on investment because they're always trying to cut costs. And one major way that you cut costs is not reinventing the wheel every time you make a new game. So.
Yeah, the licensed sport games, they haven't been getting better every year. They've been getting worse. They've been getting, more and more iterative and more, offering less product for more money because that's the way they get their returns back.
Mm-hmm.
And because people will do it.
And because people will do it because, it's a very niche, but a very large niche, I guess. Like,
because they have a monopoly and a captive audience. That's why.
Monopoly on a captive audience for, the sports fans who will only play sports games as opposed to other games in general. Like, the people who play FIFA will generally play FIFA. And that was true for a very long time. So, yeah, but you see, those games don't improve very much, if at all. And they introduce new ways to fuck up every time. It's like, good luck. Yeah.
It's, and it, like, and, I don't want this to come off as like this is EA Orlando's fault, because it's not EA Orlando's fault. They are on a timeline and a budget that is not realistic for the modern market. When we were making PS2 games, you could do a game like this in 2 years. Now, I would imagine most of their time is like, we need to do roster updates, right? And that's a lot of players in college football, especially. There's 134 teams. That's a lot of players. So, and I don't know. I feel like it's really depressing to be in an industry where we're constantly like, we'll get them next time, and there is no next time. Like, there is, like, this is as good as it's going to be for several years, and there will be small updates to some things, but like, this is the game that you're going to play fundamentally for the next 5 years, and they're going to charge you $70. And there's going to be a slot machine in it. And that sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks.
Yeah, and it's not just EA, to be fair. It's also like 2K does this. Like every major sports game does this. But Madden and NCAA are worse because exclusive license. You want to play a football game, you got to go play an EA game. And they are fully aware of that. So they're like, whatever. We could put more money into this, but why? Like,
yeah,
the game is rigged, but it was the only game in town.
Yeah, like, this is the game.
Monopolies are bad.
Yeah, so, I guess the point of this is if you're really excited about college football, I think you'll have a good time, provided you already know how to play, and you really like Dynasty the way that it was in NCAA 14. And if you're not really into Road to Glory, because that mode is bad, but otherwise, like, it sucks to wait 10 years and get, like, good enough.
Yeah.
It'll do.
Yeah. So that's my feeling on that.
Yeah.
That is rough.
Fortunate. But yeah. Picking things up.
So what's your other game, Brian?
Picking things up to talk about something that that Will and I have both played, although I have played the whole thing. Thank goodness you're here. So I reviewed this as well for this show from the publishers of Untitled Goose Game. This is a ridiculous, very silly British humor game. And it is... I'm showing the trailer of it right now. Yeah. Okay, so, all right. On the trailer right now, it said Matt Berry is in it. Will, you will remember, I asked the developers at PAX if Matt Berry was in it because I recognized that voice, and they said no. It was one of their uncles who did the voice acting. So those devs lied right to my face. And you know what? Bless them. Because...
Was he truly lying? Maybe Matt Berry is just his uncle.
But then why would he say no when I say, is Matt Berry in this game? Like, is that Matt Berry in this game? And he said no. It's like, come on. Now, if Matt Berry is his uncle, man, I envy him. That's great. But yeah, it's really funny. It's really silly. They call it a slapformer because basically the only things you can do are walk through the town and slap things. And there is a lot of really silly and inappropriate humor in this game. And it's just, It's just an absolute delight. This game is like 2 to 3 hours long, and I actually don't know how much it is because Steam doesn't have it. Actually, hold on. Let me see because it might have it up on Switch because sometimes people have that on Switch. Let's see. Thank goodness you're here, Switch.
Yeah, I took a look at the trailer when it came up in discussion the other day, and I'm just like, yeah, that gives me real Goose Game vibes, so I'm not shocked at all to know it's the same publisher.
The funny thing is, it is effectively reverse Untitled Goose Game. Like, you are running around and you are just helping random people do ridiculous things. And it's awesome. Okay. So it's the same price as a Ranger. It is $20 full price, on sale now for $17.
Good stuff.
Specifically on Switch pre-order, it is not available for purchase, like pre-purchase on Steam yet. But it's real funny. It's real charming. It is an absolute blast. It's really funny. The guy who like peeps through the hole in the fence is one of my favorite characters in the whole thing. I really cannot like this is like a 10, you know. So this absolutely gets the Catch the Fever award. This was one of my favorite games that I saw at PAX West. And now that I've played the full game, I'm like, yeah, this is great. It's really great. It's so dumb and fun and glorious. And we need more games like this. Games that are just absolutely games. Adventure games of the absolutely most absurd variety. What was it? Somebody was saying that this was inspired by... Hold on. Mod Wolves. The Mighty It's like inspired by the Mighty Boosh.
Yeah. I believe Thomas said that.
Yeah, and things like that. And
which is quintessential British humor, really.
Yes. And it wears that influence on its sleeve, and it carries on that legacy quite well. So, yeah. Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize it was rated M. Rated M for blood, crude humor, strong language, suggestive themes, and violence. But it is totally ridiculous and fun. And it's great. And you should play it. So these are a Ranger, and I think Will was saying when we were checking in, like, I think Balatro is probably the front runner for my game of the year so far, but a Ranger and Thank Goodness You're Here are like right up there in the discussion. And I think Thank Goodness You're Here definitely like has like a really powerful argument for being like just a short and sweet, like immaculate experience. It's real stupid.
Gets in, does its job, it gets out.
Yeah. It's also gorgeous, and like the music is great, and the sound effects are great, and you walk around as a tiny little yellow dude slapping people in a town while you wait for your meeting with the mayor, who is busy. So it's like, yeah, it's really stupid and great. So highly recommend.
I also highly recommend Mighty Boosh if you've never watched and or listened to the radio plays.
I have not. I think actually the last British comedy show I watched was Spaced, probably.
Nah, I haven't seen that one.
Which was the first thing that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost were ever in together.
Interesting.
There are actually references to Spaced and to or like between, like there are moments between actors in Shaun of the Dead that are references to Spaced. Spaced is really good.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Spaced is really good. But yeah, I am definitely. It's funny to like watch Old Greg, then watch the Great British Baking Show, see him, then realize that he, like one of the comic relief guys, is Old Greg, and then realize that the guy who is in that show and Old Greg is also in the Mighty Boosh, which is where he started. And it's just like, oh, okay, I'm like tracing the line backwards. You know, it's like Matt Berry having like a great renaissance right now through What We Do in the Shadows and this, and then also like Father in the IT crowd, and then you go back even further, and he was in oh my god, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and it's just like we're going all the way back. We're going all the way back. Anyways, watch if you haven't seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, you should also watch that.
I'll add it to the list.
Anyways, yeah. It's ridiculous, and you can watch it all on YouTube. Like, it's super old, and yeah. Anyways. Yeah, that's all I've got. Like, Will, you got something else?
Nope.
I got one more thing I can throw into the ring real quick.
Cool, all right.
Just on a tangent, this is unrelated to the usual stuff, but I just happened to go see Deadpool and Wolverine a couple of days ago.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, that reminds me of something as well that I'll talk
Okay,
about.
I have to talk about Twisters now.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, God. Okay, movie corner. Here we go. Deadpool and Wolverine is fucking great. I laughed hysterically. It's dumb. It knows it's dumb. It knows you know that it's dumb. And they play it up very well. I think your appreciation for it grows the more worse or the more bad comic book movies you've seen. Like, not just the current spate of MCU stuff, but just in general. Because it makes a lot of little nods to that, and just it's like if you see the other Deadpool movies and you know exactly what you're getting, but it's Deadpool, he does Deadpool things. It's a great time. It really is just really solid, really funny, and I enjoyed myself immensely. So highly recommend it.
Nice. I am going to see that soon. I have not seen it, but I did. My sister-in-law's favorite movie of all time is Twister, and so she got the whole group of people together to see Twisters, and that movie is real fun. Will, it's so fun.
It's so fun. It is.
That movie is also a bisexual feast.
Yeah, Glenn Powell in a cowboy hat, man. Whoo!
Yeah. Did you like?
Yeah.
I know you liked my tweet.
Yeah, like, listen. You were right. You were right.
They were like, one of the lines in the movie is, "Oh, our calculations on the moisture, our thing didn't work because the calculations on the moisture level are off." And Audrey and I like leaned towards each other, and like in the path of Glenn Powell, everybody's moisture levels are off.
That's facts.
Also, the female lead was very easy on the eyes as well.
But this is canon. Twister, everybody in the original Twister, also attractive.
Nice.
Bill Paxton. Who's the lead actress in Twister? I can't remember.
I haven't seen the original. This is the first Twister movie that I've seen.
It's oh god damn it.
I'll look it up while you talk about the movie.
Helen Hunt.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, a young attractive Bill Paxton, a young Helen Hunt. Also
Jamie Gertz.
Surprised. Carrie Elwes. And Philip Seymour Hoffman. Great cast in the original film. So yeah, it's like The Mummy, right? If you make a Twister movie, people have to be hot. That's just the way that it works.
It's true.
But yeah, that movie is super fun. I want the truck. The truck is really cool.
Truck is good.
The truck is cool. Yeah, I had a great time. Go see Twisters. It deserves to make money. Great film. Just the right amount of goofy and it's great. But also you should just see it because Glenn Powell in a cowboy hat and Anyway.
Yeah. I really wasn't sure about that one because it just feels almost like they're reaching. It's just like, what's a recognizable brand of a movie that did well at some point? And there's so many of those and reboots and remakes and sequels and all that. And so I just saw that and thought, I don't know. But I'm glad to hear it's actually really good.
Yeah. And like he said, Glenn Powell looks real good. And Daisy Edgar Jones's face and whole countenance is mesmerizing. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's fun. Go see it. Movies are good. Books are good. Wow, so we've covered
creative media in general.
Yeah, we've covered games and films and television shows and books. Hell yeah. A video game.
Listen to any good albums lately? Let's get the full set.
Nerd Culture Podcast. Oh shit. Yes, I have listened to good albums lately. Are any of them new though? I don't know. I listened to like some Sleep Token and stuff lately, and I also listened to.
Sleep Token's real good.
I watched Drumeo, and I watched the drummer for the Mars Volta hear like one of the most famous Rush songs for the first time and then play along with it without ever hearing the drum track. I highly recommend, if you have not seen Drumeo, Drumeo on YouTube, go check that out. It's a channel for drummers, but they also do a lot of cool stuff like bring people into the studio, have them like listen to songs they've never heard before, and then like write their own drum parts to them. So like there is like one where I don't know what it is, but it's like one of them, like an example would be like, oh, they got the drummer from Megadeth to come in and play like an All-American Rejects song that he's never heard. Like, and he writes drums for it, and like it becomes awesome, like very quickly. So I highly recommend checking that out as well. There you go. Now we've got music.
We've covered it all.
We've covered it all. It is time to go home.
It's time to go home. All right, guys. Feels good to be back.
It's always a pleasure.
Good to be back and get through it quickly.
Yeah, this is an hour, shorter than an hour and 15. When I said that we were going to keep it brisk, I did not think we were going to be able to keep it this brisk. Woo.
No, I didn't have a lot to talk about because, I've not been playing that many yet. Like, I've been playing a lot of games, but it's all just friggin' Final Fantasy 14, so it takes up all my time.
Yeah.
Listen, man, sometimes all you need is a quickie, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And next week we'll have other stuff to talk about. Like, I've been playing Eastward and other stuff like that. I
am intending to play Cataclysmo for next time. So.
Ooh, nice. I do have like the full build of that now. So yeah, we can talk about that based on my time at the preview, and I can dip more into that if you're gonna
absolutely
dig into it. Okay.
Let you know.
That sounds good. I think that'll be fun. And then I can also talk about. Well, I guess we don't need to talk about this. I'll just divert people to what I said on GameSpot. So thank you for joining us for episode 320 of the Platformers Podcast. If you like what we do here, please like and all of that sort of stuff. Signal boost the show if you would, please. I want more people to be able to see it and listen to it and enjoy it. We love making this show, and we love pointing you guys towards really cool stuff. That is why we do what we do. We love games, and we love talking about games, and we love pointing people towards awesome stuff that they can experience. So if you want to hear more of us doing that or see more of us doing that, you can check out the preview and interview that I did at EVO about the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, which includes X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, The Punisher, like all these sorts of games. Like I sat down, I played a early build of those. I interviewed Matsumoto-san, who is the producer of those games, who I actually previously talked to at Capcom Cup about Street Fighter 6 when they released Ed. Had a great talk with him. It was a lot of fun, and you can go check out that piece on GameSpot. So just search GameSpot Marvel vs. Capcom Golden Age or Marvel vs. Capcom Brian Barnett, and like you'll see that there. Read that. It's a lot of fun. As somebody who came backwards to this series through Dragon Ball FighterZ, which was my first like dedicated tag game, it's really interesting to get into what works about this game, what doesn't work about this game. I'm really interested in digging into the game when it comes out and playing it online. I got to do a lot of stuff with the single player, but the multiplayer, like I'm still waiting to see how the online will be. If it's anything like Street Fighter 6's online connections, like we're probably in for a pretty good time, but we will see.
The netcode wars are won. Rollback is finally here.
Yes.
It only took 10 years longer than it needed to, but we're at a good place now.
Yeah. So I'm really fascinated to see people dive back into these games. I am really bummed out. I went to an alumni meeting for like my wife's school last night, and one of the guys was so excited to hear that the MVC collection was coming out. except he has an Xbox, which is the only place it is not coming. And I was so sad for him.
Oof.
So yeah, that sucks, but that is happening more and more these days. So anyways, go read that piece and check that out. And I'm sure that Will and I will get more into NBC next week on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that is where you can find me as far as written stuff is concerned. If you want to follow me on social media, I am Ribnax, Ribnax on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me at Blue Sky and Backlogged at Brian Barnett, BrianBarnett. You can find me on twitch.tv and youtube.com at Ribnax as well, where we live stream the shows every week on Monday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time. And then I publish the VODs to YouTube later where you can find them. Kris, where can everybody find you?
Hi, I am Kris Cornelise. You can find me on most things as Delfeir, Delfeir. My website is at versusthebacklog.com. That's vsthebacklog.com, one word. There will hopefully be that big piece I mentioned about WoW Dragonflight up there soon-ish. You can also, if you are interested in looking at cool shit that people do about video games, check out my friend's website, acclaimedgames.com. It goes into basically collating hundreds upon hundreds of the best of lists that various publications have done, and does a really good job of like running them through an algorithm and getting to a critical consensus. So really interesting project, worth checking out and giving a shout out to. So that's it from me. Will, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at ByWillBurger. You can also find me on IGN, Shack News, a couple other places. Check me out on Lifebar, writing about Spec Ops, or at Unwinnable, writing about all of this nonsense that we have to deal with. I'm also on Blue Sky at Edgar Allan Bro, but I barely use it. I need to get better about it. And on Backlogged also at Edgar Allan Bro. So check out my stuff. It's fun. And I'm here too, obviously.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And play fighting games.
Play fighting games. In fact,
do play fighting games.
In fact, tag Will and I on Twitter, and we will play fighting games with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, thank you all for joining us for this episode of The Platformers. From everybody here, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there. Because until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Peace.